What's up, everybody? Shibbity-doo. All right, what's up, everybody? As you can see, I have a visitor today. Today, we're going to be talking about healing yourself, which is basically what we're going to be talking about, anyways. But for this particular episode, we're going to focus on teaching yourself how to heal yourself. Okay. So, as always, before I start, I just want to let you guys know that I am not a therapist, not a trained coach, I'm not anything like that. This is just videos of me sharing my experience with you, sharing tools that help me fight depression, fight anxiety, that I learned going to therapy. I learned to apply to my life after therapy. It's just been a continuous effort, a continuous help for me. On my healing journey, right? Okay, so now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into it, right? Okay, cool. All right, so teach yourself how to heal yourself, right? So if you watched my last video, I talked about how almost all mental illnesses are linked to your environment or your genetics. So environment meaning your upbringing, how you was raised, how your household looked, the things you experienced in your childhood, things of that nature, will contribute to you having mental illnesses when you grow up. So let's talk about that from an African American perspective, right? Okay, so when you think about mental illnesses coming from environment and genetics, right? The majority of us come from broken homes or homes with parents who were not taught how to love, who were not taught how to express themselves in a positive way. Our parents were 9 times out of 10 stressed out, had a lot of things going on. A lot of our parents came from the civil rights era, that the ones of us who are 30 and 40 and 50 now, our parents grew up during the civil rights era. So of course they experienced things that they're not going to talk to us about. But even before then, their parents experienced actual slavery, right? So it's things in our community that we don't talk about, that we don't give voice to. It happened and we just let it be that, and nobody ever talks about it, right? I talked about that in my last video as well. So when you have things like slavery passed down through your genes, things like oppression passed down through your dreams, and captivity passed down through your dreams, different type of traumas like rape and sodomizing and certain things like that, then you can definitely expect that the generations coming after those people are going to suffer from some type of mental illness, being that they say that mental illness comes from environment, comes from genetics, right? So you can almost guarantee that all of Black people have some type of mental illness or experience some type of mental illness, trauma in their lives, right? All of us, right? So according to the National Institution of Mental Health, an estimated 2.8% of U.S. adults suffer from a bipolar disorder. Excuse me. And according to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, that's about 7 million people. So about 7 million people in the United States of America suffer from bipolar disorder. That's not shocking at all, right? You can find this information, both of those two statistics that I just gave you. You can find them on the National Institution of Mental Health and then the National Alliance of Mental Illness. You can go to both of those websites and you just type in bipolar disorder, and you can get all of the stats and everything like that from those two particular websites. Okay. Okay, so because we're talking about how to heal ourselves, and I talked about in the last video how you have to change the way that you think. That would be the first step of overcoming your depression, overcoming anxiety, bipolar disorder. The first thing would be to figure out how you are thinking. And when you get into therapy, they call this psychosocial therapy, talk therapy, psychosocial therapy, learning your behaviors and how you think and everything like that. When you learn the intricate terms, what they call certain things, it helps you put in your mind, okay, I'm doing this, so let me try to change that, right? So in psychosocial therapy, they give you terms to things that you have been feeling. And I just was talking about this to somebody the other day. A lot of times we're experiencing things, we're having emotions, but we don't know what they're we don't know what the terminology for these certain things are, right? We don't know what these certain things are called. So when I learned what the certain name for things were, I was able to identify it when it happened in my everyday life. I was able to say, okay, I'm overthinking right now, so let me try to change that, or let me try to distract myself so I can be thinking about something else, right? So they give you 10, I believe it's 10. They give you 10 ways of negative thinking, cognitive thinking that we do that makes us be depressed or anxious or have certain feelings that we have, okay? So the first one of those is called mental filtering. It's called mental filtering, right? Okay, so when a person does mental filtering, the person specifies only one detail of a situation and focuses only on the emotions and behaviors associated with it, right? So for example, that means if a child throws a surprise party for their mother or their father, right? And everything in the party worked out great. Everything came together well. Everything was great. And then say for instance, the cake shows up and it's the wrong color cake. So a person who does mental filtering, they'll pick out that one small detail. The color of the cake wasn't right, and they'll rationalize it in their mind. They'll make themselves believe that the whole party was a disaster, it was a failure, because one detail was wrong. So that means because one thing was wrong, that means the whole thing was a failure, right? That's what you do when you are mentally filtering. That means that you're picking out one detail from a situation that happening, you're blowing it up, you're making it real big, and because this one thing happened, now the whole thing was a failure, right? Okay, so the second part of that, another way that we think is called black and white thinking. This is part two, black and white thinking. You might want to start writing these things down, or you can just go to lifehack.org and they have these listed as well. Okay, so black white thinking is when a situation occurs and a person is unable to identify any middle ground and perceive the situation with an attitude of defeat. So that means that, okay, almost so what like mental filtering. You think everything is black and white. There is no in between ground. There is no gray area. You know how people talk about the gray area a lot. So there is no a gray area with black and white thinkers. It's either this or it's that. There is no middle ground. That's called black and white thinking. Next type of thinking is called overgeneralization, right? Which is very common. Overgeneralization is very common. And this what happens when a person jumps to conclusions. How often do we always talk about, he just jumped to a conclusion, you just jump to a conclusion, you just think, blah, 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 right? We do that all the time, right? So it's overgeneralization is when a person jumps to conclusion without adequate information. So sorry about that. Without that's our visitor. So overgeneralization is when a person jumps to conclusion without having the proper adequate information, right? So that's like with your parents when you growing up, they automatically, or I hear this quite often, especially with my teenage son. I was a teenager before, so this in the third is gonna happen if a boy and a girl teenager, or if they like same gender loving, if they're in a space together, and then that means that they're gonna be doing something sexual, they're gonna be doing something that they don't have independence doing, because you've been a teenager before, or we've all been a teenager before. So that means that teenagers do XYZBD. That's overgeneralization. You really don't have any details about what happened in a circumstance, but because you assume that because you know that this person is a teenager, then you automatically assume that they're gonna do what all other teenagers do. That's overgeneralization, and most of us do that a lot, right? Right, especially women. Women especially do that a lot with men. When we say all men are dogs, all men are cheaters, all men are this, all men are that, we are overgeneralizing and putting all men in one category of something without having adequate information. Okay. So the next one is called catastrophe. Give me a second. The other one is called catastrophizing. Probably didn't say that right. I probably jacked it up really bad, but catastrophizing. Okay, whatever. Catastrophizing. I'm reading off my phone, so when my head go down, I'm reading. Okay, and my vision is horrible. So here we go. Catastrophizing is thinking arises when a person expects the worst outcome to occur. This often happens with people who fear flying. Even though flying is the safest form of travel, they will begin to fear that the plane will crash each time they board it. So this is a lot of times with mothers, just because being a mother, I can always go back to that. I can always relate as a mother we automatically think the worst thing is going to happen with our children, or sometimes when it comes to men we automatically think he's going to do the worst thing possible, and which is going to make us be alone, which that all comes from a fear of something. And a lot of times when you have a fear of something and then you make it big or than what it really is, then it keeps you from doing things. It keeps you from being able to trust people. It keeps you from being able to allow your children, with me when my son was killed. I catastrophize. I actually still do it in my mind a little bit, but because I have trained myself to redirect my thinking when I do start thinking that way. Okay, when my son got hit by the car, he was 18 months old. So, and I was right there. So, anytime my children are three or less, I'm in a space where like I really don't want my baby to go outside. I'm very fearful about them. I'm going outside. Like it's terrible anxiety when it comes to that. And it was so bad at a point in time where when my twins were less than 2 years old, I didn't even want to be around them because I was afraid of what may happen to them with them being so young. But that fear also, it brought certain traumatic things to me, just because I was so afraid. And so sometimes we have to understand that what we feel on the inside, it draws that on the outside to come towards us because we're fearing it on the side, right? So catastrophizing is you having a fear of something, you make it really big, and then you're anxious. You can't do whatever it is that you need to do because this thing has taken over you. You are so afraid that something horrible may happen, and 9 times out of 10, you always think something horrible is going to happen. Right? That is catastrophizing. The next one is personalization. Okay. Personalization generally occurs in people with low self esteem or those who have paranoia. It happens when they suppose that everything people do or say is about them. How many of us actually do that? Anytime you see two people talking, or if you walk into a room and everybody gets quiet, everybody looking at you, whatever the case may be, you automatically think that people are thinking about you, people are saying something about you. We 9 times out of 10 we think that it's negative. I struggle with this as well. Always thinking people got the worst thing to say about me. Always thinking that people think the worst things about me, and having to really say, Larissa, you can't care about what people think, or Giraffe, you really can't care what people think about you like that. You still have to go forth and do what God put in your heart to do, no matter what those people may say, and they may say something. They actually have a lot that they could say. But I just have to be strong in myself and knowing what God put into my heart so that I can still fulfill what my purpose is for my life and not put what other people say ahead of my purpose. Got it? Yeah. Don't personalize. Maybe they are talking about you. Maybe they are. But is it going to be the end of the world? They talk about some of the greatest people in the world. And yeah, they may very well have done terrible negative things, but you doing terrible negative things do not negate the positive things, and you trying to overcome, and you trying to be a better person for yourself, not for other people, but for you. The reason why I sought out therapy, the reason why I sought out just becoming better was for me. It was for me first, and then it was for my own children, right? Because I wanted to be better. All right. So the next one is should statements. This is ding 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 key. Okay, key. Because how often do we say I should have did this, I should have done that, I could have did this, I could have did that, I would have done this, I would have done that. If that person had not this, I would have done. We do that so many times, and shoulda, coulda, wouldas keep you in grief longer. They keep you in bondage. Oh my God, the death of my son had me with so many shoulds, so many coulds, so many woulds, so many whys, but I had to learn that everything happens for a reason. Sure, if the circumstances and situation were different, sure, I would have done something differently, but the circumstance and situation is not. That's what we have to learn and become okay and comfortable with, is that the situation is not different. Yes, you would change it if you could change it. Yes, you should have done if you could have done, if you would have done. All of those things may be 100% true. Okay, but you can't. And you just really have to grab onto it and cry it out if you have to, scream it out if you have to. You just can't undo it. And there's no way for you to go back and try to change it. So you have to get real comfortable with those areas in your life that you wish were different. That if I would have just done this, then I would be this. I should have just done that, then I would be in this place. You really have to let those things go because they're killing you. They are killing you. You are suffering with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Get to a place where you are comfortable with the way that your life is, so that you are able to move on. Right? Right. Because that's what the most important part is that is you being able to move on. Okay. In 1 second, because I done dropped my notes on the floor. All right, I'm back. All right. Should statements. I didn't even read the should statements. Let me go back and read it and what it is, though. Okay. 1 second, man. Okay, okay, okay. I knew it would happen. 1 more second. Okay, y'all just pause with me. Okay. Mm. Yeah, mommy, man. It's okay. It's okay to stink. All right. Should statements. Okay, we're on should statements. These statements come about when someone compares themselves and others to perceived universal standards. We may witness this with young girls who, after seeing commercials that advertise beauty products, begin to say, I should be thinner or I should be prettier. Once again, just what I said right. Because you're not comfortable with something, and like the statement says, a lot of times it comes from outside sources. I felt unworthy as a mother. I felt less than as a mother. Heck, even as a human being, when my son was killed, because because society tells you that mothers are this and mothers are that. Mothers protect their children. Mothers provide for their children. Mothers always make sure that their kids are safe and well taken care of, and XYZBD, right? And I feel like I didn't do any of those things. I felt like I failed as a mother because my son is dead, less than 2 years old. I felt like it was done, and I shouldn't be a mother to no children anymore because I failed, right? Um, but I had to let that go. I could not continue to live my life in that way, knowing that I had other children here that still needed me. But not only did my children need me, I needed myself. I needed myself, and I was not making decisions that I wanted to make. I was not being the woman that I wanted to be, and I was really letting the depression and the trauma and the grief overtake me. And a lot of that came from wishing the situation was different, wishing he was still here, but then also suppressing how I was really feeling, how hurt I really, really was. And we do that a lot of times. We suppress how we really feel, how hurt we really are by certain things, and we can't do that. We just can't do it. It's not helpful to you, and it's not helpful to the people that are around you either. When you are dimming your light, when you are dimming your pain, when you are dimming your hurt, when you dim your happiness. Okay, when you dim your shine. Anytime you are dimming any aspect of you that does not serve you, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. and the holding the pain in was not serving me. It was killing me, and it was not allowing me to be the young woman that I wanted to be in my life. So let go of those should statements. Let go of the little should statements. You got it? Okay. Mind reading. How many women are a mind readers? Drop down in the chat if you are a mind reader, okay? Matter of fact, drop down in the chat whatever type of overthinking, whatever type of thing that is you, the thing that you most commonly do. Do you have personalization? Do you do should statements? Are you a person who catastrophizes a lot? Do you overgeneralize a lot? Which one best fits you? If there's more than one, drop all three of them in there. Drop all five of them in there. If all of them are you, say, look, sis, all of them are me, right? And that's okay. That's okay. Being real with yourself, being truthful with yourself is part of the journey, and you have to dissect you more than you dissect anybody else, right? Right. Okay. Mind reading. This can happen when someone assumes what others are thinking about them without verification. So this is somewhat like personalization, right? Where you suppose that everything people do or say is about you. Is somewhat like mind reading, that you assume that whatever people are thinking or whatever is about you. People are always thinking about you. You don't really know, but you just think that right. Let us know if you think that you are a mind reader. The next one is fortune telling. Okay, let's read what fortune telling is. When you anticipate a bad result without realistically considering the actual odds of that result, you are engaging in the cognitive distortion known as fortune telling. So this is called cognitive distortion. Okay, I just couldn't remember what the heck it was called. I knew it was cognitive something, cognitive thinking, along the lines of that. But it's cognitive distortion thinking. Okay, when your thoughts are distorted. For example, if you are afraid of flying, you can divert your attention to the future about what you would do after the plane lands instead of fixating on the minimal chances of the plane crashing. So this is somewhat like, what was the other one that we read earlier? Catastrophizing, right? This is somewhat like catastrophizing. Sometimes you have dreamers or dreamers. I don't even know. I was trying to put too many words together at the same time. You know how sometimes when you have daydreams or visions about something that's going to happen or something that you think may happen, which I think would be a part of catastrophizing. You're thinking the worst thing that could happen, a part of catastrophizing, and um, then you imagine, oh God, so the plane did crash, and this is what I'm gonna do afterwards. Or yeah, the cake fell on the floor. I'm daydreaming about the cake falling on the floor. Yes, the cake did fall on the floor, and so now I'm thinking about what can I do after that, and I'm fortune telling. I'm making something happen in my mind that really didn't happen, and I'm coming up with things that I can do after said things happen that ain't even really happened, right? Even though cakes can really fall on the floor. I'm not saying that, because cakes really could fall on the floor, but like if the plane was crashing or like a train being derailed off the tracks, what's the odds of that really happening? But you done set up in your mind what you would do after the train derailed off the tracks. Your fortune telling. Your fortune telling. Yes. We do these things, people. We do these things. Y'all have to let me pause one more time, because once again, I'm having a whole lot of, I'm clumsy. I'm really clumsy. So just give me a moment. Pause, okay? Children, I need my phone, please. It fell again. Another mommy moment, right? Because the phone is like literally right there, and I'm calling the kids from way downstairs. But isn't it great having children? You can just call or pick up. Listen, the remote is right there on the counter, but you call them downstairs anyway. They come get the remote off the counter that's right in your face. Whatever. It's life, right? Baby boy, can you hear me? Mommy's phone right there? Mommy's phone on the floor. Look. Enzy, right here on the floor. You see it right there on the floor? Yes. He's 2. He's so smart. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Yes, mommy appreciate it. Okay, so that was fortune telling. I'll read it for you one more time. When you anticipate a bad result without realistically considering the actual odds of that result, right? You are engaging in the cognitive distortion known as fortune telling. Okay, so like if the train you're thinking about the train derailing off of the tracks, what you're gonna do in the event that happens. You're thinking about something tragically happening, and then what you're gonna do as a result of that tragic thing happening. When 9 times out of 10, that tragic thing would probably never happen because it happens. There's a slim, rare chance that it actually will happen. Right? That's what fortune telling is. So our last one is emotional reasoning. I lied. It's not the last one, but it's the one right before the last one. It's number 9. Okay. Emotional reasoning. The term emotional reasoning refers to the tendency to be overly aware of your feelings and to base your judgments on those feelings. You assume something is true just because it feels right to you, even though that is not the case. For example, if you get stuck in an elevator, your anxiety can make you feel like the elevator will malfunction and would drop. But logically, that is not the case. Elevator malfunctions are common, and you will be out of the situation in a few minutes. As you can see, we have another visitor, right? Hey, sweet girl, how was practice? It was good. I'm doing my video like we did last week. Okay, don't get in the scene. Your Tahitian trees looks amazingly. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. No, mommy don't want any. I'm gonna get me something to drink in a minute. Mommy moments once again. Go back upstairs, baby. Mommy's trying to record right now. I'm actually recording, and y'all is interrupting me. You going back outside? Okay, Enzy, do you want to go outside, Enzy? You need to put your shoes on. Go get your shoes. Go get your shoes, Enzy. Go get them from out of the room right there. Go take him upstairs to Daddy so he can help him put them on, please. Thank you. I'm sorry, y'all. My bad. Life goes on, right? And I'm. This is me being diligent, knowing I have all these things going on, but it's just in my heart to do this, and I just pray and hope that I'm helping somebody, that I'm giving somebody some insight. I'm helping somebody, heal themselves and learn, put terms to things that they are feeling, things that they are thinking, but may really know, how to get through it. I just hope that I'm helping somebody, right? Okay. Children, how you expect for mommy to record? You gonna be yelling. Okay, but I can't just take the shoes upstairs. Just take the shoes upstairs. Labeling. This is our last one. It's called labeling. Mommy. Yes, baby. Baby, can you go upstairs and put your shoes on? Okay. Go let Daddy put your shoes on so you can go outside. Don't touch that. That's hot. Go get shoes. Thank you. I know you right there. Can you please go to your daddy? Go to daddy so you can put your shoes on and go outside. Labeling, okay? Labeling. This is the last one, okay? Cognitive distortion thinking, okay? This is what this is called. The last one is called labeling. Labeling occurs when someone makes broad statements or generalizations about themselves or others based on situation-specific behavior. For example, if you make a mistake and conclude that you are a failure, it is called labeling. So a lot of these cognitive distortion ways of thinking are kind of linked with each other. I think they broke them down in a very descriptive way. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of linked in with each other. So these are called cognitive distortion thinking. And this last one that we have is called labeling. Labeling occurs when someone makes a broad statement or generalizations about themselves or others based on situation specific behavior. For example, if you make a mistake and can conclude that you are a failure, it is called labeling. So let me bring that to our community, right? If a woman sleeps with two or three men, then she's considered to be a hoe. Okay. When a woman has multiple baby fathers, she's considered to be a hoe or promiscuous or whatever. We do this a lot in our community, though, as African American Black people. We do this a lot in our community. We label people, we overgeneralize people, and ultimately people feel terrible about what we think about them, what we say about them on a mass scale. And it's just mean, it's just cruel. And when we realize these are the things that we are doing, it helps us change that, right? It helps us change that. Okay, you guys. So now let's talk about how we can reconstruct some of this way of thinking. So this is called cognitive reconstructing. Okay, this is called cognitive reconstructing. The first thing that I went over is called cognitive distortion. Okay, so this is called cognitive restructuring. 4 steps of cognitive restructuring. Once again, you can get all this information from lifehack.org. That was horrible. In case I went too fast for you or you need to read it for yourself so that you can get a better understanding, you can go to www.lifehack.org. And if you just type in cognitive thinking, cognitive distortion, or cognitive restructuring, they'll pull this up for you. They got different type of worksheets that you can do, that'll just really help you. That'll just really help you look at and break down and dig into. Okay, www.lifehack.org. I'm gonna try to remember to put that in the description for you for the link. Okay. So, 4 steps of cognitive restructuring. Number 1 is become aware of your thoughts. Take inventory of your thoughts. Identify what category of thoughts you most commonly adapt to and call it out. So that goes back to our cognitive distortion, right? Now I know the way that I'm thinking. Now I know that I'm a black and white thinker. Now I know that I'm an overgeneralization thinker. Now I know that I am a catastrophizing thinker, right? So because I know this, while I'm filtering through my thoughts, while I'm thinking about, I'm working through what type of thought process I have and things of that nature. The cognitive reconstruction, the first thing I need to do is become aware of my thoughts. Now that I have names for my ways of thinking, I can say, oh, well, now I'm overgeneralizing. Oh, well, now I'm having that black and white thinking. Oh, well, now I'm labeling, right? So because I know that, because I've become aware of my thoughts, and now I can take inventory of them. I can identify what category of thoughts I have, and I can call it out. I can say, this is that, this is this is that. Okay. That's becoming aware of your thoughts. And that's the first step of changing the way that you think, is becoming aware of those thoughts, right? So number 2 is evaluate your thoughts. The second step in cognitive restructuring is called evaluating your thoughts. So this is reflecting. Ask yourself, why do I think something will happen to my son? This was me. These are literally notes that I've written, yeah. So I would have to ask myself, why do I think something is going to happen to my baby? Evaluate that thought. But like when I was having fear and anxiety about my babies under 2 and 3 years old going outside or just being outside, it didn't matter. I could be out there with them or not. I still felt some kind of way about that. So when I started going to therapy, and even now when it happens, you just heard my baby could go outside. He going outside with his older siblings, but still, I still have a little bit of anxiety about that. So anytime I think about it, I'm like, okay, why am I having that thought? Okay, so I'm having that thought because he's still less than 3 years old. And that's the time Deshaun passed away when he was 18 months old, got hit by the car. So I just it makes me very uneasy about my babies being outside. It just makes me very uneasy, especially when I know that they're not tall enough for a vehicle to see them. If that vehicle is not really paying close, if that person in the vehicle is not paying really close attention, if they're not, aware of certain things, if they've, if they never experienced the type of trauma that I have. Like, see, now my family is 100% aware when babies are around their cars, when children are outside playing. They're very aware of that now. Not saying that it wasn't before, but now that this has happened to our family, we're all much more cognitive and aware of it, right? So I would have to ask myself, why am I having these thoughts? Reflecting on past experiences we've had and decisions we've made usually helps us arrive at a solution as to why we think a specific experience will come in our lives. Let me say that again, okay? Reflecting on past experiences we've had and decisions we've made usually helps us arrive at a solution as to why we think a specific experience will come in our lives. Okay, so me evaluating this fear that I had about my kids being outside, right? When I dug into why I felt that way, why did that anxiety come when my babies did go outside, and I discovered that it was because Deshaun passed away when he was 18 months old. That made me say, that made me arrive at a solution and a conclusion. Well, Larissa, this is why you're having this feeling. This is why this feeling is bringing you anxiety, because this is what happened in your past life. Okay, how can I make it so that I'm not making my children suffer of not going outside just because I am afraid? And honestly speaking, the only thing that helped me is everything happens for a reason. What's gonna be is gonna be. God, please protect my own child. God, I cannot deal with losing another baby in this lifetime at all. So God, just please watch over him. Please protect him. Please watch over me. Please protect me. Help to keep my mind in perfect peace. Really, honestly, and truly, the only thing that helps me get through that is prayer. Communicating with God right there in that moment is what really helps me. And I'll come down. And the thought may come back to my mind an hour later too. And so I just do the same thing all over again. God, just protect my baby. And that's what's gonna happen. Just because you say it one time, that don't mean it's gonna vanish, go away. It's never gonna come back again. It is, because your brain has been teaching yourself to think that way for a very long time. So, and when I say think that way, I mean overgeneralizing, catastrophizing. You've been doing that for so long that you automatically go into that way of thinking. So in order to change that, when that normal way of thinking comes back to you, you have to change it. You have to redirect. You have to put something else there. And so for me, putting something else there was saying, God, protect us. I know all things happen for a reason, and I appreciate the life that you gave Deshaun, and for making me be his mother. But God, please don't. Please watch over my babies. Please protect them. And that just really helps me. That really just keeps me calm in those moments when my babies are going outside. Number 3 is get rational about your thoughts. Okay, get rational about your thoughts. Once I could identify my thoughts of death coming to my living babies as problematic for me, now I can ask myself, are these thoughts true? How true are they? I can begin to tell myself that all life comes to death and I have no control over when that happens for any of us. I can then make sure my whole family is proactive in being aware of vehicles when playing outside. The hardest part of this for me was not making my baby stay in, because I was too afraid for him to be outside with or without me. And so, and like I told you, this be unforced. So, and then the rest of it says, with my twins, I sent them away from me around 18 months old due to the fear of losing them because I wasn't being rational. The odds of another one of your children being hit by a car is slim to none. The odds of it happening to one child is kind of slim to none, because 9 out of 10 that just don't happen. But if it's already happened to you one time before, then the chances of it happening again are very, very slim. Especially when you're talking about the type of tragic accident that that I experienced with my own child. So we just have to be mindful just to think rationally. What's the odds of another baby, another one of your babies getting hit by a car? I mean, it probably wouldn't happen. It probably wouldn't happen, but due to the fear and due to the awareness of the pain that I was in, excuse me, that has made my older children be more aware because Deshaun was my second baby. So the rest of my kids were not born until after him, of course, right? So they have an older brother that they've never met before, but I make sure that they know about him. I make sure that they know what happened to him, so they are aware that they have an older brother who was hit by a car. So because of that, whenever I send my 2-year-old outside with them, they are very aware. We got to make sure that we protect Enzi. We got to make sure that we look out for him. Right. So uh, getting rational, that has helped me be rational with making sure that I equip my children to be aware of what's going on around them, to be aware of cars, to be aware of their siblings when they're all outside, not just the 2-year-old, but everybody had to look after each other. Right. So getting rational about your thoughts, really digging into that, identifying how you are thinking, what your thought pattern usually is, evaluating those thoughts. Why am I thinking this way? I gotta sleep. Ooh, excuse me very much. Why am I thinking this way? And then getting rational about those thoughts. Okay, so what can I do to make me feel a little bit less anxious about this? What can I do to make me a little less fearful about this? That's what getting rational about your thoughts does for you. Okay, so the last thing with cognitive restructuring is to replace problematic thoughts with self-lifting thoughts or more rational thoughts. Okay, I also put here to be sure to identify what your commonly adaptive way of thinking is. So that goes back to the black and white thinking, the labeling, um, personalization, your should statements, fortune telling. Okay, that goes back to all of those things. The replacing the problematic ways, the problematic thoughts with self-lifting thoughts or more rational thoughts. Make sure that you are aware of what type of thought process you normally fall into, right? And this will help you be aware of what you're thinking so that you can then be active in replacing them, changing them, putting something else there more positive and more uplifting to fit you. And then if also go back and watch the first video, because in the first video I gave an assignment, the I love me list assignment, where you write some things about yourself that you love about yourself, 5 accomplishments that you've had in your life. And if you can't think of 10, then ask other people, what are some things about me that you really like? And if they tell you and you like that about you too, then write that down. Okay. Um, yeah. So be able to replace your thoughts with something positive. Like I said, the I love me list will help with that. And go back and watch the first video because I definitely put some helpful, insightful things in there as well. Okay. So if you're having reoccurring thoughts of failure, okay, write down successes in your life. If you can't think of any, call your mom or your closest friend and ask them, what is something about you that makes them proud of you? Okay. Use their words to make new thoughts about yourself and build on those. Okay. Science has shown, another fact, okay? Science has shown that cognitive restructuring works. In one study, cognitive restructuring was more effective in reducing anxiety and worry, forcing people to fix their automatic thoughts. Margot Escott explains that this process is effective because our thoughts become our feelings, which affect our overall well being. The most important part of cognitive restructuring is practicing regularly until it becomes automatic, happening without any extra effort on your part. Okay, so I'm still in the part where I'm practicing in it regularly so that it's becoming a regular part, automatic way that I think. Um, and I've been practicing cognitive restructuring maybe for the past 4 years or so. So and it does work. It does work. I really don't find myself in a whole lot of up and down bipolar moods. You know, bipolar say that you go up and down in your emotions like that. I still, and I believe everybody does. Everybody goes up and down in their emotions. And honestly speaking, the majority of us will be diagnosed with bipolar, one, two, whatever. Most of us would be. If you were to go see a therapist and they analyze you, they do all that stuff, you would be diagnosed with some type of mental illness. Trust me, okay? All of this information that I told you, I may have told you that it all came from lifehack.org, which they had some stuff on there too. But this is from cogbtherapy.com, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. And this just gives you the breakdown of your cognitive distortion, your cognitive restructuring, and they have different worksheets and work things that you can do to try to help you get through that whole process, right? Free printables. Okay, this is basically free therapy that you can do on your own. Who doesn't want that? Who want to go see a therapist and talk about your problem to somebody that you don't even know? Nobody wants to do that. So CogB therapy will help. If you have any questions, you can definitely hit my inbox, tag me, write a comment, whatever, and I'll do the best I can to provide you with an answer or find you the correct answer, right? So you guys, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure that I'm giving some helpful tools. This episode is called Teach Yourself How to Heal Yourself. And I think we're well on our way with that, right? Don't y'all think we're well on our way with teaching ourselves how to heal ourselves? Go back and watch if you need to. cogbtherapy.com and lifehack.org. Very helpful websites for you on your healing journey. Definitely check those out. Definitely be intentional about your healing. Definitely be intentional about how you're feeling, what you're thinking. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't have the ability or the capability to heal yourself, because you can. I did it. I am doing it. And don't forget about your spirit. Your spirit, your soul is very important when it comes to our healing journey. We like to suppress it, and because so much about the Most High has been colonized and Hellenized, because we have been Hellenized, it's difficult for us to want to be spiritual, but we are a spiritual being. And if you have suppressed your spiritual gifts, then that could be another reason why you're experiencing mental illness. And we have expressed spiritual gifts for centuries at this point. And we got to get back into who we really are as a people. I hope I've helped someone. That is my favoriteest thing to do. I done taught this baby to sleep. I am done. Good night, everybody. And I'll see you next time for Peace of Mind Mondays. Yeah? Yeah. Y'all have a good one.